Beloved child, I know there are days when your soul is weary not because you have not tried, but because you have tried for too long within a rhythm of life that does not belong to me. You have chased after outward voices, tried to prove your worth through the recognition of others, and sought safety in things that may be here today but change tomorrow. I do not look at you with reproach. I look at you with mercy, because I know your heart once believed that if you were seen, praised, and able to hold every outcome firmly in your hands, then you would have peace. But my child, true peace is not born from having everything under your control. True peace comes when you place yourself in my hands. As it is written, the peace of God, which surpasses all understanding, will guard your hearts and your minds in Christ Jesus. Philippians 4:7. This is not the fragile peace that depends on circumstances, but the deep rest granted to the soul that knows how to return. Therefore, do not be afraid when you begin to feel weary of the things that once attracted you. Sometimes that weariness is not a sign that you are failing, but a bell of grace awakening you from a path that no longer nourishes your soul. There are wells from which you have bent down to drink many times, yet the more you drank, the thirstier you became. There are words of applause that once made you happy for a moment, but afterward left within you an even greater emptiness. I allow you to recognize the limits of those things, not to disappoint you, but to draw you closer to the fountain of living water. Remember the Samaritan woman beside Jacob's well. She came to draw water in the heat of the day, carrying hidden thirsts and fractures within her life. But when Christ met her, he did not speak only of the water in the well. He spoke of the water that would cause the soul to thirst no more. Whoever drinks of the water that I will give him will never thirst again. John 4:14. Beloved child, I am also meeting you beside your own well, in the very place where you once sought to be filled by things that could not save you, so that I may invite you to drink from a deeper source. My rhythm is different from the rhythm of the world. The world urges you to move faster, climb higher, stand out more, prove more, and hold on more tightly. But I call you to slow down, to listen, to trust, to take root, and to walk under my guidance. The world makes you fear being left behind. I teach you to understand that the one who is led by me is never late in my plan. The Lord will go before you. He himself will be with you. He will never leave you nor forsake you. Deuteronomy 31:8. When you walk after me, you do not need to run in panic. You can move forward with a steadfast heart, because the one who goes before you has already seen the entire road, the turns, the seasons of waiting, and the day when the fruit will blossom. At first, this rhythm may feel unfamiliar to you, because for so long you have been used to hearing anxiety as though it were a command. You have grown accustomed to thinking that you must do a great deal in order to be worthy of love, that you must achieve something before you can feel secure, and that you must know the future before you dare to take the next step. But, my child, faith is not possessing the whole map. Faith is holding my hand when you cannot yet see the entire road. Just as Abraham left his homeland without knowing where he was going, yet he stepped forward because he trusted that the one who called him was faithful. By faith, Abraham obeyed, and he went out, not knowing where he was going. Hebrews 11:8. I do not require you to understand everything before you obey. I simply invite you to believe that my calling is always safer than every certainty you try to build for yourself. And in the quiet places, when you feel as though nothing is moving, I am still working deep within you. A seed does not sprout through noise. Roots do not grow deep through display. The things that endure most often are formed in the hidden place, where no one applauds, no one says, and no one calls your name. But I see every time you choose prayer instead of panic, waiting instead of forcing, tenderness instead of bitterness, trust instead of seizing for yourself what has not yet come in its appointed time. As it is written, commit your way to the Lord, trust in Him, and He will act. Psalm 37:5. Your task is not to drag the harvest forward with impatient hands. Your task is to remain in me, so that what I have planted may grow in its proper season. I know there are times when you fear that if you slow down, you will miss your opportunity. But beloved child, what truly belongs to me, for you will not need to be held together by anxiety. The door I open does not require you to lose your soul in order to enter. The blessing I give will not lead you away from my peace. If something forces you to live in constant tension, to neglect my presence, or to trade away the purity of your heart, then stop and listen. Your word is a lamp to my feet and a light to my path. Psalm 119, 105. I do not always illuminate the whole mile ahead, but I always give enough light for the next step. And as you remain faithful to the next step, you will realize that I have never let you walk through the darkness alone. Therefore, let me teach your heart how to rest again. Rest does not mean abandoning responsibility, nor does it mean becoming indifferent toward life. Resting in me means doing what must be done without allowing fear to rule. It means sowing the seed without digging up the soil every day to check it. It means praying and then trusting that I have heard. It means walking in obedience without needing applause to prove that you are on the right path. Christ said, "Come to me, all you who labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest." Matthew 11:28. That word is not only for those who are outwardly exhausted, but also for souls wearied from trying to save themselves, protect themselves, prove themselves, and carry the future by themselves. Beloved child, I do not want you to live like one who is always being chased. I want you to live like one who is being shepherded. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. Psalm 23:1. The sheep does not need to know where every pasture lies. It only needs to recognize the voice of the shepherd. And I am calling you with a voice gentler than anxiety, deeper than the voice of the world, and truer than every temporary promise. Return to my rhythm. Let your breathing slow down in my presence. Let your heart cease, striving as though everything depended on your own strength. I am your Father. I know what you need before you ask. I know which timing is good. I know what must be held back, what must be loosened, and what must be born within you through this season of waiting. One day, you will look back and understand that I did not slow you down so you would miss what was good, but to save you from what was never meant for your soul. I did not hide the outcome to wound you, but so that the roots of your faith would grow deeper into unshakable love. I was not silent because I was distant, but because there are lessons that can only be heard clearly in stillness. Be at peace, beloved child. What I am building within you is not as fragile as the praise of men, nor as fleeting as the safety the world promises. I am establishing within you a dwelling place of peace, a holy rhythm of life, and a faith that can stand firm in great winds. And as you learn to walk in my rhythm, you will no longer merely seek rest. Your very life will become a testimony of that rest. I do not enter your life merely to rearrange the things that can be seen, like someone renovating the outside of a house while leaving the foundation within untouched. I come to touch the deepest hidden place in you, where intentions are born before they become words, where quiet choices determine the direction of an entire life, where wounds can cause you to close yourself off, or grace can cause you to open. Beloved child, I do not only want you to stay away from darkness. I want you to love the light so deeply that darkness no longer appears attractive to you. I do not only want you to stop the things that diminish you. I want you to enter the abundant, pure, and free life I have prepared for you. For as it is written, I have come that they may have life, and that they may have it more abundantly. John 10:10. That life is not a garment of morality placed over the outside, but a river of renewal flowing from within, softening what had become hardened, illuminating what had been hidden, and reviving what you thought had already faded away. My child, understand this with your whole soul. The freedom I give is not the freedom to do whatever your flesh desires, but the freedom of no longer being enslaved by the things that once pulled you away from your holy identity. There are chains that make no sound, yet still bind the human heart, the need to control, the fear of being abandoned, quiet suspicion, old memories that cause you to react before you have time to pray, desires disguised by reasoning that sounds right. But when my truth enters, it does not come to shame you. It comes to untie every knot within you. You will know the truth, and the truth will set you free. John 8:32. That truth does not only reveal what is wrong, it also reminds you whom you belong to, what light you were created to live in, and that your heart was made to reflect my goodness. Perhaps there have been many times when you thought I was only pleased when you were strong, only near when you walked correctly, and only listening when you prayed with an unburdened soul. But beloved child, my love is not as fragile as human emotion. I do not leave you simply because you tremble. I do not turn my back because you have a weak day. I do not extinguish the small light within you simply because it has not yet become a great flame. As it is written, a bruised reed he will not break, and a smoldering wick he will not snuff out. Isaiah 42:3. I see even the smallest spark in your soul, and I know how to nourish it with the breath of grace. People may only see your wavering, but I see what I have planted. People may remember your mistakes, but I remember the promise I have spoken over your life. Therefore, do not choose me only as a refuge when the storm rises, only to drift away again when the sky becomes calm. Choose me in the ordinary morning, in the small decision no one witnesses, in the way you respond to a hurtful word, in the moment you are tempted to return to the old path, in the instant when you could protect yourself with hardness but choose tenderness because of me. You are not transformed only by one emotional moment. You are transformed by repeated returns, by each small but sincere yes, by every time you lay down your own will and allow the light to lead the way. As Joshua said before the people, choose this day whom you will serve. Joshua 24:15. That choice is not only for a solemn day before a crowd, but also for every hidden day when no one knows you are fighting to remain faithful. Remember the story of Naaman, the powerful Syrian commander who carried in his body a disease of leprosy and could not save himself. He expected a great miracle, a majestic ritual, a healing worthy of his status. But the word of the Lord through the prophet Elisha was very simple. Go down and wash in the Jordan 7 times. At first, pride made him angry, because the way I chose to heal him did not look like what he had imagined. But when he humbled himself and obeyed, when he stepped down into those ordinary waters, healing came. His flesh became clean like the flesh of a little child. 2 Kings 5:1-14. Beloved child, sometimes I also lead you through simple acts like these: forgiving once more, praying when you do not feel like praying, speaking the truth instead of hiding, remaining silent instead of answering back, releasing control instead of tightening your grip. These things may appear small, but in humble obedience, I bring about deep transformation. If today you still find yourself wrestling between faith and doubt, between letting go and controlling, between the light I am calling you to step into and the familiar place where you once hid, do not despair. I am not surprised by the battles within you. I do not despise slow steps. I am the Father who knows how to reshape what is crooked, bind up what is torn, and lift up what is fallen. I will give you a new heart and put a new spirit within you. I will remove from you your heart of stone and give you a heart of flesh. Ezekiel 36:26. Do you see? What I do is not merely correct outward habits. I change the very substance of the heart. I replace hardness with tenderness, resistance with trust, fear with love, and the old voice of shame with a new testimony of grace. And when you look back over the seasons that have passed, you will see that I was never absent as you once thought. In the days when you fell, I was the quiet hand keeping you from breaking completely. In the nights when you doubted, I was the lamp that did not go out in the deepest corner of your soul. On the roads where you lost your way, I did not stand far off waiting for you to find your way back by your own strength. I followed you with mercy, called your name with patience, and placed small signs along the road to remind you that home was still there. I will never leave you nor forsake you. Hebrews 13:5. That word is not a passing comfort, but the covenant of my heart toward you. You may change with the seasons, but my faithfulness does not change with the weather of your soul. Therefore, let my love become the foundation of your obedience. Do not follow me like one who fears punishment, but like a child who has come to realize that there is no place more beautiful than the Father's house. Do not keep the law with a cold heart, but let truth kindle within you a pure love that makes you desire to live differently because you have been loved so deeply. Perfect love casts out fear. 1 John 4:18. When you know you are loved, you no longer need to hide. When you know you are held, you no longer have to control everything. When you know you are called by name, you no longer have to beg the world to confirm your worth. You can live lighter, truer, and brighter, because your identity no longer hangs on the praise or approval of others. I am inviting you into a life that is no longer divided. Not one part of your soul turned toward me while another part clings to the things that weary you. Not a mouth that speaks of trust while the heart quietly worships control. Not a life that seeks me only in pain and then forgets me when everything becomes easier. I desire your whole heart not to take what is good away from you, but so that nothing harmful may continue to rule you in the darkness. My son, give me your heart, Proverbs 23. Harsher Lot. When you give me your heart, I do not crush it, I heal it. I do not make it poorer, I make it larger. Poorer. Strong enough to love without becoming enslaved. Strong enough to hope without being deceived. Strong enough to walk forward without being pulled backward by the past. Beloved child, if today there is only one small prayer left within you, speak to me with simple truth. Father, renew my heart. If you only open the door, I will enter with gentleness. If you only turn your face toward the light, I will teach your eyes to grow accustomed to the dawn. If you only place your hand in mine, I will lead you through seasons you could never overcome by yourself. You are not something I have left unfinished. You are not a lamp I have forgotten to fill with oil. You are not a reed I will break because it has once been bruised. I began a good work in you. And as it is written, he who began a good work in you will carry it on to completion until the day of Christ Jesus. Philippians 1:6. Be at peace. My child, I am not only adjusting the road before you, I am rebuilding within you a free heart, a radiant soul, and a life that chooses me not because of fear, but because it has discovered that my love is the place where you truly live. Beloved child, I want you to hear this with the deepest part of your soul. What I have kindled within you is not a weak flame easily extinguished by the winds of life. That light did not begin with the praise of others, so it will not fade because of their silence. It was not born from the achievements you have reached, so it will not disappear when you stumble or pass through a season where it seems no one sees you. I placed that light within you before you knew how to call yourself by name, before you understood the battles that would come, before you knew there would be days when you would doubt your own worth. As it is written, God is light, in him there is no darkness at all. 1 John 1:5. Because you belong to me. What I have sown within you bears the mark of that light. It may have been covered by fear, by wounds, by words you heard for so long that you began to believe they were truth. But being covered does not mean being destroyed. Being quiet does not mean being dead. And being small in the eyes of the world does not mean being meaningless in my plan. There were seasons when you walked like someone trying to make yourself smaller, afraid that your light would make others uncomfortable, afraid that your voice was not valuable enough, afraid that your presence would make no difference. But my child, true light does not need noise to prove that it is light. A small lamp in a dark room is still enough to change the direction of someone who is lost. A gentle word among harsh voices is still enough to soften a heart. A peaceful soul amid chaos can still become a sign that I am present. Christ said, "You are the light of the world." A city set on a hill cannot be hidden. Matthew 5:14. I did not speak this over you to place upon your shoulders the burden of performing holiness, but to remind you of your identity. You were not created to live forever in the shadow of shame. You were called to reflect what I have done within you. Therefore, when you feel something beginning to move within you, do not rush to call it disorder. There are stirrings of the heart that are not anxiety, but an invitation to awaken. There are nameless promptings that do not come to frighten you, but to lead you out of the old garment that has become too tight for the new person I am forming in you. When a seed breaks open in the soil, it also creates a disturbance. But that is not a sign of destruction. It is the beginning of life. As it is written, "Behold, I am doing a new thing, now it springs forth. Do you not perceive it?" Isaiah 43:19. I am doing a new thing in you. And that new thing sometimes begins with the feeling that you can no longer live as you once did. You no longer have peace with the shadows that once held you captive. You no longer feel comfortable denying the call within your heart. That is grace stirring you not to make you lose your way, but to bring you back to your rightful place in the light. Therefore, rise up, but do not rise with the pride of one who wants to prove their strength. Rise with the peace of one who knows they are being lifted by me. Shine, but do not shine through the effort to draw attention. Shine through a life that remains in me, through truth that no longer needs to hide, through love that does not need to perform, and through faith that does not need applause. Arise, shine, for your light has come, and the glory of the Lord has risen upon you. Isaiah 60:1. This word is not a cold command, but the Father's call to his child. It is time for you to stop living as though the light within you must ask the world for permission before it can be revealed. I lit it. I kept it. I nourished it through the long nights. And now, I am teaching you to walk as one who carries light without fearing the darkness. Beloved child, let this new day become a marker within your heart. There is no need for trumpets, no need for anyone to confirm it, no need for every circumstance to change immediately. It is enough for you to know that I am calling the light within you out of hiding. Keep your lamp burning through prayer, through my word, through simple obedience, through pure choices when no one is watching. Your word is a lamp to my feet and a light to my path. Psalm 119:105. When you remain close to my word, the light within you will not be mixed with ambition, stained by bitterness, or dimmed by the noise of the world. It will become clearer, warmer, and more enduring. And through you, many will be reminded that I still heal, still restore, and still call souls who thought they were small into a great purpose. Be at peace, my child. The light within you has never gone out. It is simply learning to blaze forth at the right time, in my way, so that your life may become a living testimony that darkness never has the final word over what I have chosen to illuminate. Beloved child, I want you to understand that prayer is not only the moment when you speak to me, but also the place where your heart learns to recognize that I am near. There are words you utter very softly, sighs too deep to become sentences, tears that fall in silence, and you think they disappear into empty space. But nothing that rises to me from your heart is forgotten. As it is written, the Lord is close to the brokenhearted and saves those who are crushed in spirit. Psalm 34:18. I do not need you to decorate your words with perfection. I do not wait for you to arrange your emotions neatly before I listen. I bend down with kindness the very moment you open your heart, because what I seek is not polished phrases, but a truthful heart turning back toward me. From there, day by day, your life will become a holy conversation. You speak to me when your heart is joyful, and I teach you gratitude. You speak to me when you are in pain, and I place the oil of healing upon the wound. You ask me when you are confused, and I do not always give you the whole answer at once, but I give enough light for the next step. As it is written, your word is a lamp to my feet and a light to my path. Psalm 119:105. The lamp does not need to shine across the entire horizon for you to be able to walk. It only needs to illuminate the place where your foot is about to step. That is how I train your faith, not by letting you know everything, but by teaching you to know that the one who leads you is faithful. Do not wait until there are no more questions within you before you come to me. Do not wait until your mind is completely calm before you pray. Do not think that the chaos inside you makes you unworthy to enter my presence. You can come to me while your heart is still trembling, while your thoughts are still tangled, while your tears have not yet dried, when all you know how to say is one very small sentence: Father, I need you. I hear even those words. In the same way, the Spirit helps us in our weakness, for we do not know what we should pray for as we ought. But the Spirit Himself intercedes for us with groanings too deep for words. Romans 8:26. You do not pray alone, even in your clumsiness. My grace is working more deeply than you understand. There are times when you speak and do not hear an answer immediately. But do not think that silence means absence. There are answers I plant like seeds. They do not bloom on the same day you ask, but quietly take root beneath the soil of time. There are things I do not speak loudly, because I am teaching you to recognize the whisper. After the earthquake came a fire, but the Lord was not in the fire, and after the fire came a gentle whisper. 1 Kings 19:12. Elijah encountered me not in the roaring commotion, but in that gentle whisper. In the same way, beloved child, do not seek me only in great signs. Recognize me in unexpected peace, in a tender reminder, in the small light that is enough to keep you from turning into darkness. And as you learn to hear me, continue to keep your heart soft. A soft heart is not a weak heart. It is a heart courageous enough not to become hardened after being wounded. It is a heart that still knows how to trust after disappointment, still knows how to love after pain, and still knows how to return after wandering. I see that beauty in you. People may only notice great achievements, but I see every small choice you guard in the hidden place. A word you do not speak so that you will not wound another. A moment when you choose forgiveness instead of feeding bitterness. A morning when you seek me before seeking the noise of the world. A step of obedience, even when no one applauds. As it is written, whoever is faithful in very little is faithful also in much. Luke 16:10. Small things in my hands are never truly small when they are offered with love. Do not hurry. My child, I do not build your life through haste. Things with deep roots need time to grow. Underground water is not as loud as a waterfall. but it nourishes the life of an entire dry land. Morning dew makes no sound, yet it is enough to soften the field before the sun rises. In the same way, the times you quietly choose me are making your soul more fruitful. Faith does not need to be displayed in order to be real. Love does not need everyone's recognition in order to have value. Obedience does not need a stage in order to please me. Your Father, who sees in secret, will reward you. Matthew 6:6. I see those hidden things, and I am using them to weave within you a life more steadfast than you imagine. So keep speaking to me. Beloved child, tell me what you fear, what you hope for, what you do not understand, and what you dare not say to anyone else. Pray with truth, not with a mask. Listen with faith, not with the suspicion that I will wound you. My sheep hear my voice, and I know them, and they follow me. John 10:27. I know you. I know even the parts of you that you do not yet know how to express. And in every word you lift up to me, in every moment you sit quietly before me, in every small choice you keep because you love me, I am weaving something greater, a life joined to me, not shallow, not distant, not seeking me only when storms come, but walking with me as a child walks with their father. Then the day will come when you look back and realize that the prayers you thought were small had opened deep and hidden doors. The quiet moments of listening saved you from many paths that were never meant for you. The simple decisions became the foundation of a lasting faith. I am doing that within you, not through noise that overwhelms you, but through daily faithfulness. Be at peace. I hear you. I answer you. I lead you. And as you continue to draw near to me, my voice will become more familiar than every noise. My peace will become stronger than every fear, and your life will become a gentle testimony that the soul who knows how to speak with me is never truly alone. Beloved child, I want you not to despise the days that seem to hold nothing special, because it is precisely within that quiet consistency that I am building a foundation your eyes cannot yet fully see. You often think that life is shaped by great moments, radiant turning points, days filled with applause, or clear signs from heaven. But I tell you this, many of the most enduring things in my kingdom are born through humble repetition. A prayer each morning, an honest choice when no one is checking, a moment when you keep silent so you will not sow pain, a step of obedience when your heart has not yet seen the result. These things are small in the eyes of the world, but in my eyes, they are living stones being set into their proper place. As it is written, do not despise the day of small beginnings. Zechariah 4:10. For what you think is small today may be the very foundation for the greater thing I will entrust to you tomorrow. Therefore, do not grow discouraged when your journey contains stretches that look the same one day following another, one duty following another, one prayer following another. Monotony is not always a sign of poverty. Sometimes it is the training ground of faith. A soldier does not learn to stand firm only on the day of battle, but through repeated training, when there is no cheering, when sweat falls to the ground and no one takes notice. In the same way, your soul is shaped not only in moments of strong emotion, but in ordinary days when you still choose me without any special feeling to support you. Put on the full armor of God, so that you may be able to stand against the schemes of the devil. Ephesians 6:11. That armor is not worn to display outward righteousness, but so that you may stand firm when the wind blows, when temptation comes, when human hearts change, and when darkness tries to make you forget whom you belong to. I have seen the hidden battles within you, the struggles no one can name, no one applauds, and no one asks what it cost you to choose what is right. I saw the moment when you could have found a clever excuse to cover what was wrong. But you stopped. I saw the moment when you could have chosen the easier path, the dimmer path, the path more profitable to the ego. But you turned back toward the light. I saw the moment when you could have answered with bitterness. But you swallowed the words that would have wounded another and allowed me to guard your heart. Beloved child, do not think those victories are small. On earth, no one may record them. But in heaven, nothing that belongs to faithfulness is forgotten. The Lord does not see as man sees. Man looks at the outward appearance, but the Lord looks at the heart. 1 Samuel 16:7. I see the motive, the trembling, the tears, the inner wrestling, and even the small yes you offer in the hidden place. Remember David before he stood before Goliath. People often remember the stone, the sling, the challenge on the battlefield, and the resounding victory before the people of Israel. But I want you to look more deeply at the days before that, when David was only a shepherd in the fields, doing repetitive, quiet work that no one considered great. He cared for the flock, protected them from the lion and the bear, learned courage in the lonely place, and learned trust when there was no crowd watching. Those seemingly monotonous days were the very preparation for the day he would face the giant. He told Saul that the Lord who had delivered him from the paw of the lion and the paw of the bear would also deliver him from the hand of the Philistine. 1 Samuel 17:37. Do you see? Public victory is often born from hidden faithfulness. I do not begin shaping you when the stage appears. I have been shaping you since the seasons when you thought you were only doing ordinary things. Therefore, when I allow you to pass through steady, ordinary days, do not quickly think that you are being delayed. It may be that I am making your roots grow deeper before allowing your branches to reach higher. A great tree is not held firm by the beauty of its leaves, but by the roots that quietly cling deep within the soil. A life used by me is not sustained by one moment of excitement, but by holy habits kept over a long season, returning to my word, examining your heart in truth, choosing forgiveness before bitterness has time to take root, choosing honesty when a lie seems more convenient, choosing prayer before reacting. As it is written, the righteous shall live by faith, Romans 1:17. Not by passing emotion, not by the excitement of the crowd, not by the signs you can see immediately, but by faith refined through every small step. I also want you to know that steadfastness is different from perfection. I am not preparing you to become a person who is never weak, never trembling, and never in need of grace. I am preparing you so that when you are weak, you know how to run back to me. When you tremble, you still do not let go of the promise. When you are tempted, you learn to choose the light more quickly. When you fall, you do not remain lying in the dust as though everything has ended. Though the righteous fall 7 times, they rise again. Proverbs 24:16. Maturity does not mean you no longer have to fight. It means you know how to fight in truth. No longer deceiving your own heart, no longer feeding darkness under the name of weariness, no longer calling compromise rest. I am building within you an inner pillar, not hard because of pride, but steady because it is anchored in me. And when the opportunity comes, you will understand why I trained you in the small things. The one who has not learned faithfulness in the hidden place can easily become intoxicated by the light of the stage. The one who has not learned honesty in small matters can easily lose themselves when entrusted with greater things. The one who has not learned to stand firm in gentle winds will find it difficult to withstand great storms. But, beloved child, every day you choose what is right when no one sees. I am giving your heart the endurance of humility. Well done, good and faithful servant. You have been faithful over a few things. I will set you over many. Matthew 25:21. Greatness in my kingdom is not entrusted to nourish the ego, but to serve, love. Therefore, I must make you deep enough before placing you high, soft enough before entrusting you with influence, and true enough before trusting you with things that may touch many other souls. Do not be afraid if, right now, all you see are slow steps. Slow does not mean lost. Hidden does not mean useless. Repetition does not mean there is no growth. There are great rivers fed by small drops no one counts. There are golden harvests that begin with seeds buried deep in dark soil. There are strong lives formed through thousands of small choices that no one raises a monument to remember. Let us not grow weary in doing good, for in due season we shall reap if we do not give up. Galatians 6:9. I know when the harvest season will come. I know what is growing beneath the surface. I know which part of you has become stronger, even though you have not yet recognized it. Therefore, keep walking. Beloved child, walk without haste, but do not stop. Do what is right today, and then do what is right again tomorrow, not to prove that you are worthy of my love, but because you have already been loved and desire to live worthy of that light. When the wind comes, you will not be easily shaken, because small choices have become deep roots. When darkness covers the way, you will still recognize the path home, because my word has become a lamp within your heart. When opportunity opens, you will not become proud, because you know you are lifted by grace and not by your own strength. The Lord makes firm the steps of the one who delights in him. Psalm 37:23. I am making your steps steadier day by day. Be at peace, my child. Not one faithful day of yours is wasted. Not one silent prayer falls into empty space. Not one pure choice is taken lightly by heaven. I am with you in the small room, in the repeated work, in the hidden temptation, in the decision no one knows about, in the step that has no trumpet sound. From these very things, I am building within you a life greater than what you can see right now, a life not easily torn apart by the words of people, not easily swept away by the storm of circumstance, not easily dimmed by the darkness that once called your name. Continue to be faithful in the small things, and let me take care of what is great. For what I build with patience will stand firm. What I nourish with grace will bear fruit, and what I have placed within you will shine forth in its appointed season for my glory. There are chapters in your life that make you want to turn the page quickly, as though the pain would become lighter if you did not look at them. But I do not write your life with meaningless fragments. I am the one who knows how to gather the tears, the silence, the disappointment, and the turns you did not choose, and place them into a greater story. We know that all things work together for good for those who love God. Romans 8:28 does not mean that everything is pleasant, nor does it mean that everything that happens is good in itself. It means that, in my hands, no darkness has the right to write the final line. What you do not understand today may become the place where I deepen the roots of your faith tomorrow. What once made you weep may become the place where you learn to comfort others. What once made you think you had been forgotten may become evidence that I was nearer than you ever knew. Remember Joseph, the son of Jacob, who received dreams from me but was thrown into a pit by his own brothers, sold like merchandise, falsely accused in the house of a stranger, and then forgotten in a dark prison. If you look at each chapter by itself, you will see only injustice, a torn robe, a road of exile, a lie, a prison door closing. But I was writing a story Joseph could not yet read in full while he was still in prison. In my time, the very place where he thought he had been buried became the road that led to his lifting up, not so that he could take revenge, but so that he could preserve many lives. When he met his brothers again, he said, "You meant evil against me, but God meant it for good." Genesis 50:20. Beloved child, what you are enduring is not always a sign that you have taken the wrong path. Sometimes, even in the most painful turns, I am still preserving a purpose your eyes cannot yet see. I know there are pains that cannot be soothed by a quick sentence. There are empty places in your heart that even explanations are not enough to fill. You want to know why, to see the reason, to touch a clear conclusion so your heart can rest. But there are times when what you need first is not a diagram that explains every event, but my very presence. Look at Job. He did not understand why disaster had fallen upon his life. He sat among the ashes, surrounded by loss, judged by his friends, torn by pain, and he questioned, lamented, and wrestled with all the truth in his heart. I did not despise those questions. I was not offended by the tears of a suffering man who still turned toward me. But when I came to Job, I did not give him a full explanation of every event. I revealed myself. And he said, "My ears had heard of you, but now my eyes have seen you." Job 42:5. Do you see? There is a kind of understanding that is born only after the soul has encountered me in the dark, not merely hearing about me from afar, but recognizing that I am present in the very place it thought was the end. Therefore, when you do not know, do not rush to conclude that I am silent because I am distant. My silence is not always absence. There are teachers who do not speak every second because they are allowing the lesson to sink more deeply into the student. There are fathers who hold their child's hand through the valley without explaining every stone along the path, because the most important thing is that the child knows that hand has not let go. The Lord is close to the brokenhearted and saves those who are crushed in spirit. Psalm 34:18. I am near to you when you do not feel near. I lift you when you think you are only standing by yourself. I guard your mind through nights when questions stretch long, like darkness. My nearness does not depend on your feelings. My faithfulness does not weaken when you are weary. Perhaps you are looking at wrongdoing that seems to prevail and wondering where my justice is. Beloved child, do not confuse my slowness with indifference. I do not hurry the way humans hurry, but neither do I forget the way humans forget. The Lord is not slow in keeping his promise, as some understand slowness, but is patient toward you. 2 Peter 3:9. There are things I deal with from the root, not only from the surface. There are exposures that must come at the right time, not only to tear down what is wrong, but also to rescue souls being drawn into darkness. There are seasons when I allow you to see the helplessness of your own strength so that you may learn to rely on my unshakable righteousness. You do not need to become the judge of everything in order to have peace. You only need to remain in the truth. Do what is right before me, and leave the final judgment to the one who sees every hidden thing. While you wait, I am forming a new person within you. You think you are only passing through a season that is hard to understand, but I am cultivating in you a patience that no longer depends on quick results, a humility that does not always need immediate vindication, and a faith that does not disappear when the sky has not yet brightened. The testing of your faith produces perseverance. James 1:3. This does not mean I rejoice in your pain. I do not regard your tears as light, but I have the power to turn even the place of pain into a place of maturity. I can use waiting to separate you from false noise. I can use uncertainty to teach you the difference between trusting in circumstances and trusting in me. I can use unanswered questions to lead you into a love deeper than every explanation. Then the time will come when you look back and realize that I did not only bring you to an answer, I brought you into transformation. You will see that things that once easily made you collapse now only make you kneel. Questions that once pulled you away from me now draw you closer. Dark places that once threatened to swallow, you now become the background against which my light is made clearer. You will understand that faith is not having every piece of evidence you desire in your hands, but having a sure anchor in the one who never changes. We have this hope as an anchor for the soul, firm and secure. Hebrews 6:19. When the anchor is set deep in me, the waves may still rise, but your soul will no longer drift as it once did. Therefore, beloved child, keep walking with me even through the things you do not yet understand. Do not wait until every question is answered before you trust, because there are answers that are opened along the way. Not before you take the step. Place your hand in mine while the dark chapter has not yet closed. Let me teach you to read your life, not through the haste of pain, but through the light of faithfulness. I do not abandon you in the silence. I do not forget you in the delay. I do not allow injustice to have the final authority over your story. I am near to the brokenhearted, working in what you cannot yet see, weaving the scattered pieces into a tapestry of grace greater than your mind can imagine. And one day, when you stand in a higher place of maturity, you will not only say that you received an answer, you will say that you met me, that you were held by me, that you were renewed by me, and that in the very season of not knowing, you learned to trust me with a love deeper than every circumstance. Perhaps you once thought that if I were truly with you, everything would go more smoothly, every road would become more level, and every prayer would be answered in the way you expected. But my child, my love is not always shown by removing every mountain before you. Many times, that love is shown by my walking with you up the mountain, teaching your feet to grow stronger, your breath to endure longer, and your eyes to see beyond the valleys before you. Even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. Psalm 23:4. Do you see? That promise does not say you will never pass through a dark valley. It says you will not pass through it alone. My presence is not proven only in bright sunny days, but also in the hours when you feel as though the only footsteps you can hear are your own. And in the quiet valleys, when the noise of life grows still, when easy choices are no longer alluring enough, when you can no longer hide your weakness behind busyness, I often speak to you more clearly, not with thunder that makes you tremble, but with a deep peace you cannot create by yourself. The peace of God, which surpasses all understanding, will guard your hearts and your minds in Christ Jesus. Philippians 4:7. That peace does not necessarily mean that everything outside has been resolved. It means that I am guarding what is within you. It is like a soldier standing before the gate of your mind, not allowing fear to rule freely, not allowing chaos to seize the throne of your heart, and not allowing darkness to convince you that you have been abandoned. My child, learn to distinguish between the discomfort of the flesh and the warning of the Holy Spirit. There are paths your ego does not like because they require you to humble yourself, to wait, to forgive, to release control, or to walk without seeing the full outcome. Yet on those very paths, my peace can still remain with you as a holy seal. On the other hand, there are paths that may look favorable, quick, and pleasant on the outside, but within you, rest disappears, as though your soul is whispering that this is not the way I have prepared for you. Let the peace of Christ rule in your hearts. Colossians 3:15. Let my peace become the gatekeeper within your heart, not the shallow peace that comes from easy circumstances, but the deep confirmation that you are walking according to my voice. I know that not being able to hold everything with certainty makes you feel fragile. You want to see the outcome in advance, to know why, to understand the timing, and to be sure that every step will lead to the place you hope for. But faith does not grow in a room where everything has already been fully explained. Faith grows when you place your trembling hand in mine and say, Father, I do not yet understand, but I trust you. As it is written, for we walk by faith, not by sight. 2 Corinthians 5:7. Walking by faith does not mean denying the difficult reality before you. It means seeing that reality in the light of the one who is greater than it. You do not need to pretend that the valley is not deep. You only need to remember that I am the one who can lead you through it. There are things I do not remove from you immediately, because I am using that very season to remove more dangerous things from within you. Quiet pride, the fear of losing control, the habit of trusting only when everything is favorable, and the tendency to cling more tightly to the words of people than to my word. I do not work shallowly on the surface. I am the patient potter who knows how to touch the clay at the right time, how to reshape the lines that are not yet beautiful, and how to soften what has grown dry and hard. O Lord, you are our Father, we are the clay, and you are the potter, we are all the work of your hand. Isaiah 64:8. When my hand shapes you, there are moments when you feel pressure, but pressure in the Father's hand is not meant to crush you, it is meant to reveal the true form I intended from the beginning. Therefore, do not despise the difficult season simply because it is uncomfortable. Ask me what you need to learn within it. Let it lead you into holy dependence, where you stop saying, I will be okay if I understand everything, and begin to say, I will be okay because Father is with me. This is the maturity I am building, not a life that is never shaken, but a soul that knows where to anchor when the waves rise. You will keep in perfect peace those whose minds are steadfast, because they trust in you. Isaiah 26:3. A steadfast heart is not a heart that never feels fear. It is a heart that knows how to return to the right place whenever fear rises. And I am your place of return. Beloved child, if you are in a quiet valley, do not see it as a meaningless emptiness. That place may be the classroom of intimacy. There, you are no longer led by applause, no longer distracted by easy promises, no longer listening to so many voices that your heart becomes divided. There, my voice can become clear like a stream flowing in the night. I can teach you to pray more truthfully, to listen more deeply, and to walk slowly yet more firmly. I can place within you a peace no one can take away, because it is not born from circumstances, but from my presence. As David said, truly my soul waits in silence for God. My salvation comes from him. Psalm 62:1. That silence is not surrendering in defeat. It is trust that has learned to rest in the Father. Then the day will come when you look back and understand that what you once called an obstacle was the very place where I taught you to stand firm. What you once thought was rejection was protection. What you once feared was a sign that I was distant will become evidence that I was near. Because without my hand holding you, you would not have been able to pass through. Keep walking, my child. Do not measure my love by the ease of the road. Measure it by the faithfulness I continue to reveal in every step you take. When you cannot yet see the whole way but still have peace, know that I am leading you. When you do not yet have the answer but still desire to hold my hand, know that faith within you is alive. And when you no longer lean on your own fragile certainty but cling tightly to me, you will discover that difficulty is not the place where I abandon you, but the place where I teach you that I am enough, that I am near, that I am faithful, and that I am the safest path for your soul. Beloved child, never think that a quiet life in me is a small life. The world often measures worth by noise, by recognition, by the things that are seen and named before the crowd. But I do not see in that way. I look into the hidden place of your heart, where no one applauds, and yet you still choose love, where no one acknowledges you, and yet you still choose faithfulness. where no one fully understands, and yet you still choose to walk in the light. There are flowers that do not grow in the public square, yet their fragrance still rises before me. As it is written, we are the fragrance of Christ to God, 2 Corinthians 2:15. That fragrance does not come from trying to make yourself stand out, but from a soul that has been saturated with my presence. When you live in me, even ordinary things carry the mark of heaven. I know there are times when you wonder whether what you do truly makes any difference. A prayer no one hears. An act of yielding no one knows about. A moment when you choose not to answer back in order to keep peace. A gentle look given to someone who is weary. A small word that helps lift someone from discouragement. All of these may seem too quiet compared with the great works out there. But my child, do not despise the power of what is hidden. Water silently soaking into the soil can nourish an entire garden. A small light in the night can help someone find the way home. A heart that remains in me can soften an entire atmosphere without needing to explain itself. Christ said, "Abide in me, and I in you, for apart from me you can do nothing." John 15:4-5. When you remain in me, you do not need to strain to prove that you are useful. My life will flow through you in a pure, gentle, and timely way. There are people who come near you and feel their hearts become lighter, even though they do not know why. There are conversations that become softer because you do not bring into them the anger you had the right to carry. There are rooms that become more peaceful because within you there is a source of peace that does not belong to circumstance. This is not because you are greater than anyone else, nor because you have reached a place where you are no longer weak. It is because I am living in you, and my presence has a fragrance of its own that other souls can recognize, even before their minds know how to name it. Let your light shine before others, that they may see your good works and glorify your Father in heaven. Matthew 5:16. You are not called to draw glory to yourself. You are called to become a window through which others may see my kindness. Remember the woman at Bethany who brought the precious jar of perfume and poured it over Jesus. Some looked at that act and called it waste, because they measured only by price and outward usefulness. But Christ saw the love within that act, saw the worship that words could not fully express. And he said that wherever the gospel was preached, what she had done would also be remembered. Mark 14:3-9. Beloved child, what the world calls small, I may call holy. What people consider insignificant, I may receive as a fragrant offering. There are things you do in love that no one records. But before me, they do not disappear. Heaven understands the value of a drop of oil poured out with a truthful heart. Therefore, do not wait until you have a great stage before you live faithfully. Do not wait until everyone can see before you love. Do not wait until you are recognized before you sow what is good. I seek a truthful heart more than a radiant image. I delight more in obedience in the hidden place than in performance before the eyes of people. Your Father, who sees in secret, will reward you. Matthew 6:6. I see you when you pray for the one who once wounded you. I see you when you hold back a word that could win the argument but wound a soul. I see you when you choose gentleness, not because you are weak, but because you do not want bitterness to rule. I see you when you smile at someone who is lonely, when you listen to someone no one wants to hear, when you lift someone up and then quietly walk away without needing them to know what it cost you. My child, true influence does not always come from a loud voice. Sometimes it comes from a presence that has been refined in the fire and yet has not become bitter. It comes from a soul that knows pain and still has not lost mercy. It comes from a person who could defend themselves with hardness, yet chooses to reflect my meekness. Blessed are the meek, for they shall inherit the earth. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called children of God. Matthew 5:15. 5. Number. Meekness is not weakness. Making peace is not avoiding the truth. It is strength placed under the authority of love. It is courage that chooses what heals rather than what merely satisfies the ego. When you live this way, you are sowing a kind of influence that darkness cannot easily destroy. I know there are sacrifices of yours that no one sees. There are apologies you offered first, even while your heart still ached. There are nights when you prayed for someone who did not understand you. There are times when you swallowed tears so you would not sow further division. There are wounds you brought before me, instead of using them as weapons against others. You thought those things were only losses, but in my hands, they become seeds. Unless a grain of wheat falls into the ground and dies, it remains alone. But if it dies, it bears much fruit. John 12:24. There are parts of the ego that must be laid down so that love within you may bear fruit. I do not forget that laying down. I do not take lightly what you have released because you wanted to keep your heart pure before me. Do not be saddened if some people do not understand your quietness. Do not grow discouraged if some see your gentleness as something ordinary. Do not be disappointed if your labor of love is not named. I name it. I recognize it. I keep it in my love. People may pass over what is hidden, but I do not pass over a heart that truly offers itself. God is not unjust. He will not forget your work and the love you have shown for His name. Hebrews 6:10. You do not need to turn your sacrifice into a trumpet. Let me be the one who witnesses it. Let me be the one who causes that seed to grow. There are seasons when you sow in tears and do not yet see anything rising. But I know the soil is stirring. Then the day will come when you realize that a life lived fully in me is not poor. Even if it is quiet, it is not useless. Even if it is not displayed, it is not small. Even if the world does not praise it, a soul abiding in me can become a shelter for others. A lamp in a dark room. Cool water for someone who is dry and weary. A gentle reminder that I am still present in ordinary life. Continue to live this way. Beloved child, not straining, not showing off, not allowing the ego to demand its reward before the appointed time, but remaining in me with a pure heart. When you abide, I will flow. When you love in secret, I will cause that fragrance to travel farther than you know. And when you think no one sees, remember that my eyes are looking upon you with the joy of a father, because the most precious thing is not a dazzling work before the eyes of people, but a heart that belongs wholly to me and allows me to love the world through its life. Beloved child, before you condemn yourself for the worries that still remain within your heart, draw near to me and hear this. I am not repulsed by your weakness. I do not stand far away on the nights when your mind feels tangled, nor do I turn my face when all you can do is fall silent before the things you cannot name. There are prayers that never become audible words, yet in the spiritual realm they resound more clearly than a trumpet. There are tears no one has seen, yet I have counted each one as a treasure placed in my bottle. For it is written, you have kept count of my wanderings, put my tears in your bottle. Psalm 56:8. You think you are carrying the burden alone, but in truth, that very place is where I am bending closest to you. I do not only hear what you say, I hear even what you do not have the strength to say. I do not only see the circumstances outside, I look into the hidden chamber of your soul, where hopes have gathered dust, where unanswered questions remain, where wounds are concealed beneath the ordinary appearance of each passing day. So tonight, do not enter rest like someone abandoned in the darkness. Enter it as a child whose father has covered them with the garment of peace. For the night has no right to rule over you, while I am still the light above your head. What you call a long night, I can turn into a place of encounter. What you call weariness, I can turn into a bed of grace. What you call delay, I can use as holy ground where the roots of your faith sink deeper. As it is written, the peace of God, which surpasses all understanding, will guard your hearts and your minds. Philippians 4:7. I do not give you a fragile peace that exists only when everything is going well. I give you a peace that can stand firm in the midst of what is still unclear, that can lift you up even before the answer arrives, that can keep you from breaking apart while you still do not understand why you must wait. Do you remember Elijah? That servant once stood before fire from heaven, once saw my power revealed gloriously on Mount Carmel, and yet there came a moment when he fled in fear, sat under a broom tree, and asked to die because he was so exhausted. I did not rebuke him in wrath. I did not say, "Why are you so weak?" I sent an angel to touch him, to give him bread and water, to let him sleep, and then to wake him again with tenderness. For I know that sometimes the soul does not first need a long sermon. It needs to be supported, nourished, and reminded that the journey still remains. But grace still remains as well. And when Elijah sought me in the strong wind, the earthquake, and the fire, I came instead in a gentle, quiet whisper. Beloved child, I am coming to you in the same way. I do not always shake the whole sky to prove that I am there. Sometimes I simply place a very light stillness within your heart, a breath of peace amid the chaos, a holy awareness that you have never been left behind. Perhaps you have looked back many times at old dreams and thought they had drifted far away like water under the bridge. Perhaps you once prayed with all your heart, and then time passed until you began to wonder whether heaven would remain silent forever. But my child, I do not forget what has been offered up in faith. A seed buried beneath the soil is not buried in order to die meaninglessly. It is being covered, hidden from hurried eyes, and prepared for a season of breaking open. You see still soil, but I see life moving quietly underneath. For my word declares, those who sow in tears shall reap with songs of joy. Psalm 126:5. Your prayers have not been carried away by the wind. The days when you remained faithful though no one praised you were not in vain. The times you still chose to believe though your heart trembled have not been overlooked. I hold them in my faithfulness, and at the appointed time, what I cause to spring forth will not only be an answer, but also the maturing of your very soul. Do not be afraid when what I restore does not look exactly like what you once imagined. There are things that, when placed in my hands, must pass through recreation, so that when they return, they are no longer immature, no longer mixed with fear, no longer bound by the haste of the old self. I do not only give what you ask for, I also prepare you so you can guard it with wisdom. Just as Job passed through a season of loss that seemed to reach the very end. Yet in the end, he said, my ears had heard of you, but now my eyes have seen you. Job 42:5. Do you see, there are journeys that do not merely lead you to blessing, but lead you into a deeper knowledge of me. If I only changed your circumstances without healing the roots within you, you would still tremble when another wind came. But when I touch the deepest place, you will not only be rescued from a problem, you will be renewed in the way you see, the way you believe, the way you rest, and the way you continue walking. Therefore, allow me to take the fragments of anxiety from your hands. On by on. Do not try to offer me a heart that has already been perfectly arranged before you dare to draw near. Come with your true heart, even if it is still trembling, still weary, still unable to understand everything. Come unto me, all who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. Matthew 11:28. That word is not for souls who have already made themselves strong. It is for you in the very moment you know you need to be carried. I do not require you to remove every burden by yourself before entering my presence. It is my presence that loosens the cords, softens the noise within, and causes the dark room inside your heart to begin filling with light. And when morning comes, perhaps everything outside will not change immediately, but you will realize that something within you has been set back into its rightful place. You will no longer see waiting as proof of abandonment, but as the ground where I am working in hidden ways. You will no longer see old prayers as ashes, but as glowing embers that I can still breathe upon with the breath of the Holy Spirit. You will learn that my silence is not my absence, and my delay is not my refusal. I am your kind Father. I know what you need before you ask, and before they call, I will answer while they are still speaking. I will hear Isaiah 65:24. Rest now, beloved child. Lay your head down in the faith that I am keeping watch in your place. What you cannot resolve tonight, I can still preserve by my eternal power. What you thought was lost, I can still call back in a more beautiful form. And you, after all those quiet months and days, will rise not only with an answer in your hands, but with a soul deeper, brighter, softer, and closer to me than ever before. Beloved child, there are seasons when you think you are standing still, but in my eyes, that is when the deepest things are being formed. You look at the passing days and see only repetition, waking up, trying, hoping, and then waiting again. You wonder whether the silent sweat, the prayers no one hears, the moments when you tell yourself to keep going, though your heart is weary, are truly leading anywhere. But I say to you, not one moment lived in me is wasted. What you call delay, I can use as a cradle to grow your faith. What you call silence, I can use as a holy space to teach you to hear my voice more clearly. As it is written, those who wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings like eagles. Isaiah 40:31. Waiting in me does not drain you. It separates you from haste, from the fear of missing out, from the need to see results immediately in order to believe that I am still at work. Let me speak to the part of you that is weary because it has not yet seen the harvest. A seed has not failed simply because it has remained beneath the soil longer than you expected. There are things that, before they rise into the light, must be covered in the darkness of soft earth, must break open in silence, must take root before they can sprout. You do not see that process, so you think nothing is happening. But I see the roots searching for water, the tender stem preparing to push through the soil, life quietly overcoming what appears to be stillness. And your soul is the same. I am not only preparing a blessing for you, I am preparing you for that blessing. If what you asked for came too soon, while your heart was still bound by fear, by old wounds, by the longing to prove your worth, even something good could become heavy upon you. But when I first enlarge what is within you, when I soften what has grown hardened, when I teach you to receive without clinging, to steward without pride, to walk without panic, then what I give will not become a yoke, it will become a stream. Do you remember Joseph, the one who received a dream in his youth but had to pass through the pit, the house of slavery, and the prison before stepping into the time appointed for him? If you looked at each stage separately, you would think he had been forgotten. But in the place that seemed lowest, I was still shaping in him wisdom, humility, faithfulness, and the capacity to govern something great. When the time came, no prison door could hold him back, because what I had appointed was not canceled by human delay. The Lord was with Joseph even when he was in his master's house and in the prison, Genesis 39. And that presence was a greater proof than his circumstances. Beloved child, there are seasons when I do not bring you out immediately because I am placing within you what is necessary. so that when you step out, you will not be misled by the light. I do not hurry according to your impatience, because my love sees farther than today's emotions. Therefore, do not measure the value of your life by the speed of outward change. There are doors that open quickly but have no foundation on which to stand. There are paths that seem favorable yet lead the heart away from truth. I have not called you to live like a leaf carried along by the habits of the days, nor have I called you merely to exist from one task to another, from one worry to another. I have called you to step into holy moments, where your faith meets my calling, where silent obedience meets grace in its appointed time, where the scattered pieces of your life begin to be joined by me into a meaningful picture. For everything there is a season, and a time for every matter under heaven, Ecclesiastes 3:1. And my timing is not late simply because you have grown weary in the waiting. When I speak, what seemed dry can blossom. When I open, what no one could open will no longer remain locked. When I breathe, the place that seemed emptied of life will hear the sound of resurrection again. But my child, while you wait for the new season to appear, guard your heart against closing itself because of old disappointments. Pain can make a person build walls and call it wisdom. But I do not want you to live inside a cold fortress simply because you were once wounded. I want to heal you so deeply that you can still discern without bitterness, still be cautious without shutting yourself away, still remember the lessons of the past without allowing the past to rule the future. As it is written, I will give you a new heart and put a new spirit within you. I will remove the heart of stone from your flesh and give you a heart of flesh. Ezekiel 36:26. This is the work I am doing inside you, not merely repairing a few things on the surface, but changing the very substance of your heart so you can love in freedom, believe with steadfastness, and move forward no longer chained by what has passed. Perhaps you think restoration only means receiving back what was lost. But in me, restoration goes deeper than that. I do not merely return to you an old season with its dust wiped away. I can create something new that the past has no power to define. When my people stood before the Red Sea, they did not simply need to return to Egypt in order to be safer. They needed a path that had never existed before to open in the midst of the waters. When Naomi returned to Bethlehem with empty hands, she thought her life held only bitterness. But through Ruth, I was quietly weaving a lineage that would lead to David. Do you see? I am not limited by the broken pieces you are holding. I can place them into a greater story, where the very thing you thought was the end becomes the beginning place of grace. Therefore, open your heart, not with the haste of trying to grasp everything, but with gentle trust that I know what belongs to you and what does not. Let me remove the limits you placed upon yourself after the times you failed. Let me undo the condemnations you have silently believed to be true. Let me teach you to look at yourself not through the eyes of the old day, but through the light of the one who is making all things new. Behold, I am doing a new thing, now it shall spring forth. Shall you not know it? Isaiah 43:19. My new thing does not need permission from your wounds. It is not locked away by the seasons in which you once wandered. It is not made smaller by the words others have spoken over your life. When I decide to make new, I do not only change the scenery around you, I awaken the part within you that fell asleep from weariness. Then there will come a time when you understand that the waiting did not steal your life from you. It taught you to distinguish between what you wanted out of fear and what you truly needed in order to live. It taught you to pray not only so you could receive an answer, but so you could be transformed. It taught you that the greatest blessing is not always an open door, but a heart anchored in me even while the door remains closed. Beloved child, I do not merely want to improve your circumstances as someone repairs an old house to make it more livable. I want to reshape you like clay in the potter's hands, so that the form of your life is no longer determined by pressure, fear, or pain, but by my loving hand. Remain still in me. Keep walking in tenderness. Trust that, when the appointed time comes, what I bring forth will not only make you rejoice, but will also cause you to know deeply that, throughout the entire journey, I never stopped working within you. Beloved child, draw a little closer to me, especially in the moments when you feel yourself wanting to step back because you think you are not good enough, not pure enough, not worthy enough to receive what I have prepared. I know there are quiet voices within your heart that often rise up like accusers, reminding you of the times you were weak, the decisions you wish you had never made, the seasons when you delayed, the words you did not fulfill, and the places within you that still need healing. But my child, I do not call you near so I can set you before a cold scale of achievement. I do not wait for you to become perfect before I love you. My love has gone before you, covered you, sought you, and opened a way for you, even when you were still trembling and did not know where to begin. As it is written, we love because he first loved us. 1 John 4:19. That love is the foundation beneath your feet, not your ability to make yourself worthy. Therefore, do not let shame disguised as humility pull you away from my arms. There is a true humility that causes the soul to bow in sincerity and open itself to be healed, but there is also a kind of shame that makes you lock yourself behind a closed door, imagining that keeping your distance from me is the way to honor my holiness. It is not so. Beloved child, my holiness is not a fire kindled to drive you into despair. It is pure light shining into darkness to lead you back to life. I have said, I desire mercy, and not sacrifice. Hosea 6:6. Because what I seek from you is not a flawless performance, not beautiful words meant to conceal wounds, not an outward appearance of righteousness while the heart remains far away. I seek a true heart, one that knows how to open, one that knows how to say to me, Father, I need you. Remember, my child, it is not the one who stands firm in self-satisfaction who is lifted up, but the one who knows they need grace. In the temple that day, the Pharisee stood upright in his own pride, listing the things he had done as though achievements could purchase righteousness. But the tax collector stood at a distance, not daring to lift his eyes, beating his chest and crying out for mercy. And it was that man who went home justified, because he did not bring me the garment of pretense. He brought me the naked truth of his soul. God, have mercy on me, a sinner. Luke 18:13 was not the cry of someone rejected, but the knock of a heart ready for grace to enter. You are the same. When you come to me in truthfulness, you are not refused. You are placing yourself where mercy can touch the deepest place. Do not think that the door I open is only for those who have never stumbled. If that were so, who could enter? If every blessing were a reward for perfection, then no soul would have the strength to stand before me. But I am the Father of mercy, the one who lifts up the fallen, binds up the broken, calls the wandering home, and renews what seemed too late. As it is written, the Lord upholds all who fall and raises up all who are bowed down. Psalm 145:14. I do not delight when you use your past to condemn yourself. I do not delight when you stand outside the threshold because you think there is something inside too good for someone like you. My child, what I give does not begin with your worthiness. It begins with my kindness. Remember Zacchaeus, the man many despised because his life was associated with greed and injustice. He was small in stature and could not get through the crowd. So he climbed a sycamore tree just to see Jesus as he passed by. But Christ did not merely see him. He called him by name and said that on that day he must stay at his house. Before Zacchaeus could repair every wrong, before he could present a new record of achievement, mercy had entered his home, and it was that very presence that caused him to change, that made him want to make restitution, to live differently, to open his hands instead of holding tightly. Do you see? I do not wait for you to transform yourself completely before I draw near. It is when I draw near that you are transformed. Grace does not tolerate darkness, but grace has the power to pull you out of darkness through a love stronger than condemnation. Therefore, do not confuse my preparation with a demand that you perfect yourself before you are allowed to receive. There are things I am doing within you. Yes, I am teaching you maturity, purifying motives, softening hardened places, and healing areas that still ache. But all of this is happening in love, not as a condition for you to be loved. You were loved before you understood the whole road. You were called while you were still learning how to stand again. You were held even when your hand sometimes grew weak. Just as the father in the parable ran to embrace the prodigal son while he was still far off, I also do not wait for you to return beautifully, cleanly, and worthily before I open my arms. I run toward you with mercy. Clothe your dignity again. Place the ring back upon your identity, and remind you that you are still my child. Perhaps you have grown used to living by the feeling that you must prove yourself. You prove to others that you are fine. Prove to life that you are strong. Prove to yourself that you are worthy of being loved. But in my house, you do not need to bring a report of your value. I have known you in a truth fuller than you know yourself, and I still call you beloved. What I have prepared for you is not a medal hung upon you after you have passed every human standard. It is the inheritance of love, the gift of a father to his children. For by grace you have been saved through faith, and this is not from yourselves. It is the gift of God, Ephesians 2:8. If even so great a salvation is a gift of grace, then do not think that the things I place upon your journey must be purchased by tormenting your own soul. Let this truth sink deep within you. I do not reject a broken heart that knows how to return, a broken and contrite heart. O God, you will not despise, Psalm 51:17. When you are honest before me, it is not weakness, it is the doorway of restoration. When you admit that you need to be guided, it is not failure, it is the beginning of wisdom. When you stop hiding the places that are not yet healed and bring them into my light, the power of healing begins to move. I do not need you to cover the cracks with gold so you can appear whole. I want to touch those very cracks, so the place that once bled can become the place where light shines through. Therefore, beloved child, as the new thing draws near, do not step back because you fear you are unworthy to receive it. Receive it with gratitude, with humility, with pure faith that your Father is good. What is coming is not proof that you have never been wrong. It is proof that my mercy is greater than your mistakes. What I open is not because you have gained control over every weakness. It is because I am teaching you to walk in grace, where my strength is made perfect in your weakness. Lift up your head, not in pride, but in the confidence that you are loved. Step forward, not as one demanding a right, but as a child receiving the portion given by the Father. And when you receive it, let that blessing draw you closer to me. Make your heart softer, make your hands more open, and cause your life to become a witness that it was not perfection that saved you, but my steadfast, merciful, and eternal love. Beloved child, let me enter the place where you often keep the door closed, not to punish you, but to bring light into the rooms where you have lived too long in silence. There are things within your heart that are not loud, that do not appear as obvious wounds, yet day by day they wear down your soul. You still smile, still work, still continue with familiar responsibilities. But beneath it all, there is a weariness deeper than the body, an exhaustion belonging to someone who has waited, hoped, tried, and still has not seen what they long for. You thought that being strong meant hiding that fracture, standing upright even when your heart trembled, keeping a normal appearance so no one would know how tired you had become. But my child, I am not looking for a child who knows how to perform strength before me. I am looking for a true heart. I am not offended by your tears, nor do I step away when you no longer have the strength to arrange your prayers beautifully. When I said, "Come unto me, all who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest," Matthew 11:28. That was not a word for some distant day. It is a call reaching toward you in this very hour, where you do not need to keep straining any longer. So, do not fear the truth within your own heart. Do not see the hidden corners as proof that you are far from me. Many times, the very place you dare not look back upon is the place I desire to touch first, because I do not heal by covering darkness with a cloth, but by bringing merciful light into it. There are places in you that learn to stay silent for fear of being misunderstood. Memories you buried deeply because you thought that if you did not mention them, they would stop hurting. Disappointments you dared not name because you feared being seen as lacking faith. But I see it all, and I do not condemn you. As it is written, "The Lord is near to the brokenhearted and saves the crushed in spirit." Psalm 34:18. My nearness is not only for the moments when you sit in joy, I am also near when you sit quietly in the dark room of your soul, not knowing where to begin, only able to whisper softly, "Father, I am tired." Perhaps you still believe in me, but your heart no longer draws near to me with the same freedom as before. You do not deny me. You do not turn your back on the promise. Yet a quiet distance has formed within. You still pray, but at times your prayers feel more like habit than a living stream. You still say that you believe, but part of you is hesitant, like someone who once hoped and was hurt, once opened their heart and was disappointed, once waited with expectation and then had to remain silent for too long. I know that distance. I know that hesitation. And I do not come to you with reproach. Faith is not a road without fog. Faith is when, in the middle of the fog, you still turn your face toward me. Even if your steps are slow, even if your heart still carries questions that have no answers yet. The Father in Scripture cried out, "I believe, help my unbelief." Mark 9:24. And that cry was not rejected. Because I do not despise a trembling faith, I lift it up until it learns to stand firm in grace. Remember Thomas, the disciple who was not present when Christ appeared to his brothers. He heard the news of the resurrection, but his heart could not receive it immediately, because the pain of the cross was still too near, and the wound of loss was still too real. He said he needed to see the nail marks, needed to touch the wounds, as though his heart did not dare to believe in a joy so great after a sorrow so deep. But Christ did not remove him from the circle of disciples. He returned, stood among them, and gently invited Thomas to touch the very place that had been pierced. Do you see? I am not afraid of your questions when they are brought to me in truth. I do not distance myself from you because you need a little more support. There are times when I meet you not with thunder, but by bringing your hand close to the marks of love, so you may understand that my presence is not diminished simply because your emotions once wavered. Then there is another voice that has often tried to cast a shadow over your identity. It whispers that you are not enough, that you are inferior, that you are only a faded face among the crowd, that the light of others makes your presence small. That voice causes you to compare yourself, shrink back, and measure your life by standards I never placed in your hands. But beloved child, you were not created to live as a copy of someone else. You are not a flawed draft that must imitate another in order to be accepted. I wove you together with a distinct intention, with your own rhythm of breath, with irreplaceable seeds within your soul. I praise you, for I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Psalm 139:14 is not merely a beautiful song of praise, it is the truth of your origin. You were thought of before you knew how to think about yourself. You were loved before you knew how to prove your worth. You were called by name before the world had time to place false labels upon you. Therefore, do not let human eyes become the only mirror in which you look at yourself. People see in part, judge by moments, compare by appearance, and measure by results. But I see your entire journey. I see what you have overcome in order to be here today. I see the silent battles others do not know. I see even the times when you wanted to give up but still chose to take one small step further in the light. When Samuel looked upon the sons of Jesse to find the one to be anointed, human eyes were easily drawn to outward appearance. But I said, man looks on the outward appearance, but the Lord looks on the heart. 1 Samuel 16:7. And David, the one left out in the field with the sheep, was the one I called. You are the same. Your hiddenness does not make me forget you. Your quiet seasons do not cancel the calling I have placed upon you. I want to break down the false definitions you have carried for too long. Not by violence, not by pressure that makes you afraid, but by a truth that is gentle and strong. You are not your greatest mistake. You are not the rejection you once received. You are not the silence of those who should have loved you. You are not the result that has not yet arrived. Nor are you the long season of waiting. You are my child, formed in love, kept in mercy, called back to the original identity I placed within you from the beginning. As it is written, fear not, for I have redeemed you. I have called you by your name. You are mine. Isaiah 43:1. When you know that you belong to me, you no longer have to beg the world for permission to exist. So open your heart to me, even in the places where you feel weakest. Bring me the weariness you have not yet named, the faith that still trembles, the questions you have hidden, and even the self-definitions that have wounded you. I do not come to shame you. I come to make you free. I do not require you to heal yourself before stepping into my arms. My arms are where healing begins. And when I touch you, new life will not come as the strain of forced willpower, but as a stream in a dry place, as dawn slipping through the doorway, as the breath of the Holy Spirit awakening what seemed to have fallen asleep. Let me remind you once more, you have not been left behind in your darkness. I am there. I am calling you. I am lifting you. And I will lead you back to yourself in my light. Beloved child, open your heart to me in the simplest truth, not through some great effort that leaves you even more exhausted, not through polished prayers meant to hide the fractures, and not through the appearance of strength that you have worn for so long like a heavy garment. I do not require you to repair your entire soul before you are allowed to draw near. I only invite you to lay down your defenses. Lay down the fear of being seen. Lay down the thought that there are places within you too dark for my light to enter. My child, there is no room in your heart that I cannot make bright again. No wound so old that my love cannot touch it. No season so late that my grace cannot begin something new. As it is written, behold, I stand at the door and knock. If anyone hears my voice and opens the door, I will come in to him. Revelation 3:20. I do not break down the door of your heart by force. I knock with mercy, waiting for you to open in truth. And then I enter not to condemn, but to bring life to the place you thought was only ashes. There are prayers you have lifted up through weary breaths. Not loud, not strong, only a sigh longing for the burden to be lifted. You have asked me to untie the knot, calm the storm, close the confusion, and quiet what keeps your heart from sleeping. I hear it all, beloved child. But what I am doing in your life is deeper than a quick solution. I do not merely want to make your heart lighter for a moment while the root remains buried underneath. I do not only enter the circumstance to change the surface, I enter you, touching the way you see life, the way you understand yourself, the way you respond to pain, the way you receive love, the way you trust after disappointments. All things work together for good for those who love God. Romans 8:28 does not mean that everything that happens to you is beautiful, but it means that, in my hands, even what once wounded you is not permitted to become meaningless. Let me speak to you about what you often misunderstand. Healing does not always begin with me erasing every trace of the past. Many times, I begin by placing my hand upon the very place you avoid, so that what once ruled you is no longer allowed to define you. There are memories that made you think you were a failure. There are lacks that made you believe you must always try harder than others in order to be loved. There are rejections that made you shrink yourself, as though your presence depended only on human approval. But when my light touches those places, those false definitions begin to crack. If anyone is in Christ, he is a new creation. The old has passed away. Behold, all things have become new. 2 Corinthians 5:17. You are not the record of what has wounded you. You are not the name fear placed upon you. You are a soul I am restoring, holy ground where I am sowing life again, a child whom I have never stopped calling by love. Remember the Samaritan woman at the well, the one who came to draw water at a lonely hour. Perhaps because she did not want to meet the judging eyes of others, she carried a complicated history, misplaced longings, unnamed shame, and a thirst deeper than the water in the well. But Christ did not avoid her, nor did he speak to her as though she were a ruined story. He sat right there beside the well, began speaking with her, led her from her outward need to the thirst within, and then revealed that he had living water that would cause the soul to thirst no more. Do you see? I often meet you in the very place where you thought you were only trying to survive another day. I turn the well of weariness into a place of revelation. Turn a moment of shame into the beginning of testimony. Turn a soul that once hid itself into one who runs back to the city to say that she has met the one who knows everything about her and still does not reject her. Therefore, do not be afraid when I touch the things that hurt you. I do not touch them to open the wound without purpose. I touch them to draw out the poison of condemnation, bitterness, self-contempt, and despair. There are knots you want me to untie immediately. But if I only cut away the circumstance without healing the way it has bent your heart, you would still carry the same fear into the new season. I want to do a more enduring work. I want to restructure the deepest places within you, so you do not merely come out of a problem, but step into a new identity, so you are not merely lighter, but stronger, so you are not only rescued from what is outside, but freed from the chains within. Just as the potter does not throw away the clay when its old form is no longer beautiful, I also do not cast you out because you have once been broken. I have said, O house of Israel, can I not do with you as this potter has done? Jeremiah 18:6. In my hands. Becoming soft again is not a loss. It is the opportunity to be shaped according to the form of grace. Perhaps you have grown too accustomed to the thought that you only need to be patched up enough to keep living. But I do not see you as a broken object whose cracks must be hidden. I see you as a beloved work that I am still bringing to completion. I do not mend you with temporary fragments of surface comfort. I rebuild from within through truth, through love, through my patient presence. What you thought was beyond rescue can become the strongest place. If you allow me to enter, what you once felt ashamed of can become a testimony of mercy. What you once thought would always remain darkness can become a window through which my light shines. He heals the brokenhearted and binds up their wounds. Psalm 147, 3. Not in haste, but with a gentle hand that knows every place of pain and every proper time. Trust that I am not limited by your old shape. I am not stopped by the years you have lost, by the opportunities you thought had passed you by, or by the places within your heart that have grown dry from waiting too long. I am the one who called Lazarus out of the tomb when everyone thought the smell of death was the final evidence. I am the one who can speak to dry bones and cause breath to return. I am the one who makes streams flow in the wilderness and opens a way where there is no way. Therefore, do not draw conclusions about your life based only on what your eyes can see. I am still working in depths you do not yet understand. I am loosening invisible cords, softening hardened places, lifting what has been pressed down, and restoring the true name to the parts of you that were once called by false ones. So, beloved child, open your heart once more, not so that everyone may enter carelessly, but so that I may enter the one who knows how to touch without breaking you, how to repair without shaming you, how to reveal truth while still covering you with love. Bring me what you do not know how to handle, what you do not dare to tell, what you have grown tired of carrying by yourself. I do not come to stand over you like a cold judge. I come as a compassionate father, as the physician of the soul, as the gentle shepherd who searches for the wounded sheep and carries it home upon his shoulders. The fullness of life I have for you does not begin when you are perfect. It begins when you believe that I am kind enough to enter even the places that are not yet beautiful. And from there, I will renew you, not only in the outer fragments, but down to the inner roots, until you realize that your life has never been beyond my power to restore. Beloved child, let your heart open once again, not with the tense striving of someone afraid of missing out, but with the softness of one who knows their Father is still holding all things. Do not keep clinging to what is past as though it has the right to name you forever. The times you stumbled are not your identity. The seasons of disappointment are not the final prophecy over your life. The things you did not understand, did not complete, lost, or wept over in silence, none of them are outside my hand. I do not enter your life merely to untie one knot and then depart. I enter to renew from the root, to recreate the deepest place, to turn scattered pieces into a testimony of my mercy. As it is written, he who began a good work in you will bring it to completion until the day of Jesus Christ. Philippians 1:6. What I have begun in you is not canceled by time, not severed by weakness, and not forgotten simply because you have become too tired to mention it again. There are memories you want to bury because every time you remember them, your heart grows heavier. There are dreams you have set aside, not because you no longer desire them, but because you fear that hoping once more will wound you once more. You have learned to call self-protection wisdom, withdrawal peace, and the refusal to expect anything maturity. But my child, I see the trembling beneath that layer of silence. I know there are things within you that are not dead. They are only sleeping beneath the dust of passing days, beneath the weight of waiting without clear answers. And I, the one who watches over your soul, do not confuse what has died with what is being kept hidden for the proper season. I put to death, and I bring to life. I wound, and I heal. Deuteronomy 32:39. When I touch what you thought had faded away, life can still rise in a way you have never imagined. Remember Sarah, who laughed quietly when she heard the promise of a child in her old age. It was not because she despised my word, But because so much time had passed, her body had grown weary, and hope had been tested to its very limit. In the eyes of man, that promise looked like a door that had been closed many years before. But I said, "Is anything too hard for the Lord?" Genesis 18:14. And at the appointed time, the cry of Isaac rang out, not only as the joy of one family, but as proof that time cannot weaken my faithfulness. Beloved child, what you once prayed for, and then no longer dared to mention, what you once believed, and then quietly folded away within your heart, what you thought had perhaps passed beyond your life, I still know it. I do not measure the promise by the age of the circumstance. I measure it by my power and my will. Therefore, prepare your heart in peace. Your preparation is not rushing, not trying to guess what I will do, not living in tension like someone afraid that if they are not alert enough, the blessing will pass them by. True preparation is placing your heart in trust, allowing me to remove the anxieties that make you want to control every detail. There are seasons when you need to work, to move forward, to obey. But there are also seasons when you need to learn how to rest in me, to understand that true growth does not come from pulling the plant out of the soil to see whether the roots have grown long enough. Be still and know that I am God. Psalm 46:10. That stillness is not giving up. It is faith standing still before me and saying, "Father, you know the right hour. You know the beautiful way. You know what will make me truly live." The fact that you do not see the sprout does not mean the seed has spoiled. The fact that you hear no sound does not mean heaven has stopped working. Some of the most precious things are formed in secrecy, where no one applauds, where you have no clear sign to hold on to, where faith must learn to trust the one who sowed the seed more than it trusts what it sees on the surface of the ground. A wise gardener does not abandon the seed in a season of dry soil. He knows when to water, when to cover, when to let the roots go deep before the stem rises. I am tending what belongs to you in the same way. I am not only concerned with the fruit that will appear before the eyes of others, I am concerned with the roots within you, the part that will determine whether you can stand firm when the season of wind comes, whether you can hold the blessing without allowing the blessing to carry you away from me. Perhaps you have thought that if I truly remembered, everything should have happened sooner. But my child, my love never rushes according to your anxiety, nor is it delayed because of forgetfulness. I come at the right time, not to satisfy impatience, but to complete what is most beautiful. When the people of Israel stood before the Jordan, they did not cross whenever they wished. They crossed when the Ark of the Covenant went before them, and the waters parted according to my command. When Mary received the angel's message, salvation did not come in the form of power that mankind expected, but began in a humble womb, in a quiet stable, then grew until the day the cross became the door of eternal life. Do you see? My greatest works often begin so quietly that only a listening heart can recognize them. So do not see your journey as a chain of failures that must be erased from memory. There are roads you do not want to mention again, but I can use them as the foundation for wisdom. There are seasons when you thought you were only going in circles, but I can use them to cut away pride, soften your heart, teach you discernment, and cause you to value grace more deeply. Joseph could have looked at the pit, the house of slavery, and the prison as stolen chapters of his life. But when he stood before his brothers, he understood that what man intended for harm, I had used to preserve many lives. As he said, "You intended to harm me, but God intended it for good." Genesis 50:20. I can do the same in your life. I do not call pain good, but I have the power to make pain no longer meaningless. What I am doing within you will not only cause a circumstance to change, it will cause you to see yourself again in a new light. You will see that you were not forgotten in the silent years. You will understand that I preserved even the things you no longer had the strength to preserve. You will realize that the prayers which seemed to dissolve into the air were still placed before me like fragrance in the holy place. The prayers of the saints are described as incense rising before the throne, Revelation 8:4. And my child, no word lifted up in faith is ever treated lightly by me. Perhaps you have forgotten the day you spoke that thing to me, but I have not forgotten. Perhaps you no longer remember clearly the tone of your request, but I remember both your tears and the trembling of your heart. So let the light enter the darkest places. Do not be afraid when I begin to bring back to life what you have learned not to mention. Do not quickly conclude that new life will look exactly like the old thing, because when I restore, I often make it deeper, purer, and more enduring. What you thought was only a dream left behind can become a calling brought into maturity. What you thought had fallen asleep can awaken in a wiser form. What you thought was lost can return not like an old object picked up again, but like a new season born from my hand. Those who sow in tears shall reap with songs of joy, Psalm 126:5. And that joy will not be shallow, because it will be born from a soul that has learned to trust me in the days when nothing could be seen. Rest in my faithfulness. Beloved child, let your heart become soft again, your eyes become clear again, your breath become light again. I have never forgotten anything that truly belongs to you. I have only been guarding it for the right hour, nurturing the roots before allowing the flowers to bloom, preparing your heart so that when that season appears, you will not only receive it with your hands, but understand it with your soul. And when you stand in what I have brought to completion, you will not say, "At last, I achieved this by myself." You will whisper in reverence, "Father, you were there through the entire journey. For I am the one who renews what has fallen asleep, the gardener who does not abandon the seed in dry soil, the compassionate Father who knows how to turn even waiting into a place where deeper life is born within you." Beloved child, do not look at this season of waiting as a blank space forgotten between the important chapters of your life. Do not think that because your eyes have not yet seen the door open, everything you are going through is meaningless. Some of my deepest works do not happen on the surface, do not create an echo for others to recognize, and do not always make you feel as though you are becoming stronger. But beneath that quiet soil, the roots are finding their way deeper. Beneath the days that seem motionless, your soul is being anchored by me to a foundation that cannot be shaken by seasonal winds. You wanted to see the flowers bloom, but I am tending the roots. You wanted to see the result, but I am making your heart deep enough so that the result will not become something that carries you away from me. As it is written, "The righteous shall live by faith," Romans 1:17. And that faith is not only declared on bright days, it is formed when you continue walking through what is not yet clear. Hear me speak to the quiet weariness within you. The days when you kept going, though your heart was heavy, have not been taken lightly before me. The times you wiped your tears and still chose to stand again. The mornings when you did not feel strong yet still stepped into the new day. The nights when you whispered a short prayer because you no longer had enough words for a long one. All of it has been seen by me. People often notice only the victories that appear before their eyes, but I see faithfulness in the hidden place. I see you when no one is cheering. I see you when hope is only a thin thread and yet you still do not let go. I see you when you do not yet understand why you must wait, but still do not turn your back. And I say to you, God is not unjust so as to forget your work and the love you have shown. Hebrews 6:10. The small faithfulness in your eyes may be a great stone in the foundation I am building. Perhaps you do not realize that you have grown, because true maturity often comes very quietly. It does not always look like a surge of strength that makes you feel you can overcome everything. Many times, maturity is simply that you no longer react the way you once did. It is when you choose silence instead of allowing bitterness to control your mouth. It is when you pray before despairing. It is when you place one small footstep toward the light, even while darkness is still standing near. It is when you no longer need everyone's recognition in order to believe that your life has value. Like the olive tree that does not grow hastily but endures through the years, you are also being made deeper, slower, and stronger by me. I do not only want you to get through this season, I want you to come out of this season with a soul reshaped, a heart that trusts more deeply, and a mind no longer easily tossed back and forth by circumstances. Remember David, the one who was anointed as king while he was still young, yet did not immediately step onto the throne. After the promise came years in the wilderness, cubbies, escapes, misunderstandings, and pursuits. To human eyes, it may have seemed that the anointing only made his life more difficult, but in those hidden years, I was shaping a king. I taught him to rely on me without a palace, to worship me without a throne, to keep his heart upright when he had the opportunity to take revenge on Saul but refused to let power stain his hands. Do you see? A promise does not only need to be given, the one who carries the promise must also be prepared. If David had entered the throne too early, his heart might not have been deep enough to carry what I placed upon his shoulders. But when the time came, the years that seemed delayed became a school of grace. Therefore, do not be quick to curse the time I used to prepare you. There are things you once prayed for that, if they had come sooner, might have made you fearful, proud, possessive, or might have caused you to lose your peace. Not because those things were bad, but because your heart at that time was not yet spacious enough to receive them and still remain free. I am not only concerned with giving you what you want, I am concerned with who you will become when you receive it. A blessing placed in the wrong season can become a burden, but a blessing that comes at the right time carries life, light, peace, and maturity with it. For everything there is a season, and a time for every matter under heaven. Ecclesiastes 3:1. I am not delayed because I have forgotten you, nor do I hurry because you are anxious. I act according to the perfect wisdom of the one who sees both the beginning and the end. While the outside seems not to have changed, I am changing what is within you. I am teaching you to distinguish between a temporary desire and what truly nourishes the soul. I am making you less dependent on outward signs in order to believe that I still love you. I am removing from your heart the fear that if things do not happen immediately, it means you have been abandoned. I am placing within you a holy endurance, quiet but strong, unshowy yet not easily broken. As it is written, the testing of your faith produces perseverance. James 1:3. But that perseverance is not endurance and bitterness. It is the ability to remain in me without losing tenderness. The ability to wait without allowing hope to become resentment. The ability to continue believing even when you do not yet hold the answer in your hands. There are times when you think you are merely surviving the day, but I am gathering each of those days to create depth within you. There are times when you think your tears fall to the ground and disappear, but in my eyes, they become seeds. There are times when you feel weaker than before, but in truth, you are learning a new kind of strength, the strength of one who no longer relies on themselves, but relies on me. When Paul heard me say, "My grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness," 2 Corinthians 12:9. He understood that weakness placed in my hands is not failure, but the place where heavenly power can dwell. You are the same. You do not need to feel strong every day in order to be called one who is growing. There are days when you only have enough strength not to give up. and in my eyes, that is already a faithful step. Then there will come a time when the season changes, not because you strain to pull it forward, but because the hour I appointed has ripened. The seed does not sprout because it worries. It sprouts because the life within it meets the right time. The door does not open because you strike it in panic. It opens when I speak. And when that is revealed, you will realize that I did not only answer your old request, I also renewed the one who prayed it. What you receive will no longer touch an immature heart as it once would have, but will come to a soul enlarged by trial, deepened by waiting, purified by tears, and made steady by days, with no visible sign yet still choosing to believe. Then you will understand that what comes sooner is not always what is better. What comes on time in my hands always carries greater wholeness than what comes through your haste. So rest in my faithfulness. Beloved child, let the remaining days of this waiting season become the place where you learn to breathe in peace. Walk in trust and see what has not yet happened through the eyes of the promise. Do not despise small steps. Do not underestimate the times you still choose the light. Do not think your hiddenness is invisible before heaven. I am building within you a foundation the wind will not easily overthrow. I am making you deeper so the coming season will not only be beautiful outwardly, but enduring inwardly. And when that day comes, you will not only rejoice because of what I give, you will bow your heart and recognize that the waiting season itself became holy ground, where I quietly grew within you a mature faith, a wider heart, and a soul that stands more firmly in my eternal love. Beloved child, listen to me in the stillness of your heart. The path that leads to true glory is not always paved with gentle light. There are stretches of road that pass through mist, valleys that slow your steps, nights so long that you begin to think the dawn has forgotten your name. But, my child, darkness is not proof that I am absent. Darkness is only the place where light is recognized more clearly, where your eyes learn to see not only by what is visible, but by faith placed in the one who is holding you. I do not create darkness to frighten you, nor do I test you like someone standing far away, watching to see whether you have enough strength to endure. I am your Father. I enter with you, walk beside you, cover you, and in the very places where you think you are only searching for light, I am quietly causing that light to begin rising from within you. As it is written, the light shines in the darkness, and the darkness has not overcome it. John 1:5. This does not only speak of my power over the night, but also of what I am doing in your soul. Do not think that difficult seasons come only to measure your endurance. I did not form your journey as a cold examination where you must prove yourself strong before you can be loved. No, beloved child, I loved you before you even knew how to stand firm. I know what you are made of. I know the tenderness within you. I know the places where you are still easily wounded. And I know even the parts of yourself you have not yet recognized. But I also know there is a treasure placed within you, a beauty not yet awakened, a radiance not yet opened, a depth that can only be formed when you pass through seasons where you can no longer depend on outward ease. But we have this treasure in jars of clay to show that this surpassing power belongs to God and not to us. 2 Corinthians 4:7. You are a jar of clay in my hands, perhaps once cracked, weary, and trembling, but through the very cracks I heal. My light can shine out in a way that is deeply true, deeply holy, and deeply real. There are callings that do not resound in calm days, because in peaceful times you may easily hear too many other voices. The voice of habit, the voice of safety, the voice of wanting to control everything. But in the middle of the storm, when what you once leaned on no longer feels firm enough, you begin to hear me with a deeper part of your soul. When the wind rises, You learn what the rock truly is. When night falls, you learn to recognize the true lamp. When everything outside can no longer guarantee your sense of safety, you discover that I have never moved from my place as the one who keeps you. The Lord is my light and my salvation. Whom shall I fear? Psalm 27, 1. That word was not written for souls who have never met darkness, but for those who have seen darkness and still choose to believe that my light is greater. Remember Gideon, the one who once hid in the winepress because he feared the enemy, the one who looked at himself through eyes of smallness and weakness. When my angel came to him, the greeting was not based on what Gideon felt about himself, but on what I had placed within him. The Lord is with you, mighty warrior. Judges 6:12. Do you see? I do not call you according to your present fear, but according to the identity I know within you. Gideon did not step out because he suddenly became someone who no longer trembled. He stepped out because I was with him. And in that very difficult circumstance, what had been hidden within him was awakened. You are the same. There are parts of you that only awaken when you can no longer hide behind what is familiar. Not so you may be wounded, but so you may realize that I have placed more within you than you ever dared to believe. The path I place before you is not always easy to walk, but it is never meaningless. There are gifts that cannot be received by hands still filled with self-sufficiency. There are graces that only become precious when you realize how deeply you need me. There are depths of faith that cannot be born in easy abundance, but must be formed when you stand before emptiness and still say, Father, I trust you. As it is written, faith is the assurance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. Hebrews 11:1. That faith is not a powerful emotion in a single moment. It is anchoring yourself in me when you have not yet seen the shore. It is a hand still holding on to the promise when the eyes have not yet seen the result. It is a footstep still moving toward the light while the night has not yet passed. Do not be afraid if there are times when you feel weak. Weakness brought before me does not cause you to be rejected. It becomes the place where my power dwells. I do not need you to pretend that the darkness does not hurt you. I only invite you not to let the darkness have the final word. When you allow me to enter, I do not only light the path before you, I also rekindle the lamp within you. Then you will realize that what I am doing is not only leading you out of the night, but turning you into one who carries light after having passed through the night. As Christ said, you are the light of the world. A city set on a hill cannot be hidden. Matthew 5:14. You are not lit merely so you can survive by yourself. You are lit so your presence may become a sign of hope for those who are still lost in darkness. Perhaps today you still do not understand why you must pass through this road. Perhaps you can only see each small step, each separate battle, each day when you must choose to believe once again. But I see the whole picture. I see how your heart is becoming softer, how your eyes are becoming deeper, how compassion is growing within you, how your prayers are becoming less shallow and more true. I see you being transformed from someone who only longs to escape the darkness into a soul that can stand in the light, carry the light, and lead others toward the light. What you endure in me will not only become a painful memory, it can become testimony, wisdom, and anointing oil for those who will need comfort through your life. Therefore, beloved child, keep walking not by your own strength, but by my presence. When the road is dark, let me be the lamp for your feet. When the wind is strong, let me be your refuge. When you feel small, remember that the treasure within you does not come from the strength of the clay, but from the one who placed glory within it. I do not lead you through darkness so that darkness may swallow you. I lead you through it so you may know that my light cannot be extinguished. And then, when that season is past, you will not only say that I rescued you, you will live as one who has been lit from within, one who has passed through the night but does not belong to the night. One who carries the mark of the Father, so that wherever you go, hope begins to awaken.